All right, hopefully you guys can hear me now. Let me know in the chat if you can. If not, then I will have to fix this another way. But looks like we have both of our players progressing into Heatman stage. And we can see Zaraki going for that item 3 throw. He gets it. So it looks like he's out to a bit of a lead here. I was getting my tech setup corrected there, so I missed some of the action. Glad you guys can hear me now. So yeah, we have Zaraki and jveth. They're in the first match of their group, I believe. jveth had to do some travel, so their group is a little bit delayed, but that's okay. They're going to be able to get their group matches in here as we're closing out most of the groups from the tournament this week and next week. We should be ready to move on into the bracket stage. So Zaraki, of course, you may know him from playing in AGDQ. He was in the relay race. So he's had some good experience with this game. He does have a very solid 27. jveth, he moved to this game from Mega Man 2, I believe, so he's a little bit more experienced in the US normal version, but he has picked up this one. And one of the main differences, as you may know, of course, is your Buster deals half the damage that it would deal in US normal mode. So 14 shots are going to be required against Heatman. We see Zaraki employing a pretty safe strat here. I don't blame anybody that does this against Heatman. Heatman hits incredibly hard. You can't take more than one hit from his body shots, so I think it's easier to just do this. And he has variable delays, so you can't really be super sure about what his pattern is going to be. You just kind of have to sit and see what happens. So Zaraki is through. He is going to be coming into one of the more difficult portions of the game, which of course is Airman. There's the open air section, which is pretty dangerous. He's going to pick up item 1, and jveth not too far behind here, so we're still pretty early in the race, as many of you know. This game is volatile. Anything can happen, and anything will happen, so be prepared to see some crazy things. But for right now, both of them are going to be feeling the nerves just a little bit here. That open air section, no matter how much you've practiced it, no matter how many times you've played this game, it can get you. So Zaraki will be up first. Presumably, he is going to open with Time Stopper. And he does a wise maneuver. So Time Stopper allows you to just get through this section without having to do any tricky jumps. It just makes the platforming nice and easy. And then you can go ahead, switch over to item 1 here. And he is going to get the first boost, which is probably the most important one. And wow, he is landing on the front of that. Okay, so Zaraki actually showing off a little bit there. He can take damage from this guy if he wants to. He didn't want to, I don't think, but he did. And using that extra item 1 that he saved to good effect there, that was kind of interesting. So he's okay. The main thing you need to do in this open air section, other than getting through it as jveth takes his turn, is to maintain more than 12 health. You want to have at least 14 health going forward through this section. jveth, jveth having a little bit of an issue there, but he's able to make it through. Good adjustment there. He is low on health. Meanwhile, Zaraki in a better health situation. jveth wisely switching to Buster there so that he can avoid taking any further damage. If he gets a health drop here, it would probably be wise to pick it up, even though it wastes time and can sometimes kind of get you disoriented in the second section. But Airman has some very, very random patterns, and you can't avoid being hit on some of them. So if jveth were to get a pattern in which he was to be hit 3 times in a row, he would be dead. So he probably wants to pick that health up. I hope that puts him to 14. It's a little hard to tell, but I think he should be okay. Zaraki, meanwhile, can take 1 more hit. So even if he gets hit here, he's okay. Didn't get a very good pattern from Airman, and then he got too close. Zaraki is down, but he is going to get a full health refill, and he will have the rematch. So jveth just getting a nice catch-up there. jveth, if he's able to survive this fight, he is going to be right back in this race. Zaraki should have no problem this time. With full health, Airman does not pose much of a threat, but taking that body damage from Airman at the end really did him in, and it looks like jveth will survive as long as he's able to get enough shots in here. Stay in the corner. Oh no, he couldn't quite get the jump over Airman. Wow, Airman really showing his strength in this race so far. So Zaraki manages to survive round 2 with Airman, but Airman, again, in this version of the game is incredibly brutal because you have to get 14 shots in, and getting your shots weaved in between those tornadoes is no easy task. As you can see, jveth now, he's just able to get him in his face because he has enough health to take the damage. But yeah, so both of these guys now are at a deficit in terms of their lives. They're both going to need to pick up an extra 1-up. And it would be wise to pick up both 1-ups in Quickman, in my opinion. We'll have to see what our runners elect to do. And Zaraki up first in Clashman. He is going to go for the second screen zip. No shame in that. This is the much easier version of the zip compared to the first screen zip, which is incredibly hard, but you see some of our runners going for it anyway. So Zaraki does an interesting version there where he kind of just like does the vertical wrap there instead of doing a triggered zip. And he is through. So jveth is now going to need to take his shot, and hopefully he's able to get this zip first time as Zaraki progresses through the climb section. Notoriously difficult section here. Very easy to lose time. A lot of platforming. The item 3 drops if the players go for them. Oh, wow, jveth keeping it kind of close in there, but he does end up getting the zip, so he's in good shape. Meanwhile, Zaraki entering the difficult part of the climb here. Let's see if he goes for these item 3 drops. It looks like he is. Oh, and he misses the top one there, so that is going to be a little bit of a chance for jveth to catch up. Oh, Zaraki really struggling here. He should probably just go ahead and give up on the item 3 drop when you're having that much of an issue. But as you can see, it's a tight window, guys. The visual cue is pretty small. You're kind of looking at these ladder rungs. Mega Man's not climbing super fast, but he is climbing fast enough that it can be a little bit hard to see. So Zaraki choosing the wrong weapon there. Yeah, you want Airman. You want that air shooter. We'll see what boss strat he goes for. He does have a couple options here. There's a new strat that was developed by Prizzy that's very, very fast, but it's also pretty difficult. So he's going to go for the old school strat. He gets the backup double, which is really nice. taking Airman down in 2 shots is really what you're hoping for, but you do need a little bit of luck to do that, unless you go for the new strat, as jveth is also approaching Airman. So now Zaraki going to be heading into quick. We're going to get to see some decisions on his part. Does he go for the 1-ups? Is he going to go for the second zip? That's the one that you can soft lock, of course. So first 1-up is here, and he does wisely get that 1-up. So he's in good shape now because, of course, he's already taken 1 intentional death, and he took the death to Airman. So he was at 0 lives. Now he's at 1 life. And he's going to have to take an intentional death in Woodman as well. So I would go ahead and there's 1 more extra man in this stage. It's on your route. I think it would be wise to get that, just with how volatile this game is. You don't mind to have that extra 1-up in your back pocket. It can be pretty helpful. Nice zip setup there. Zaraki going to leave the lights off. He's one of the few runners that's still doing this. To turn the lights back on, you lose some frames, as we see jveth also getting the 1-up there. Well played. You lose some frames, but you do get to kind of see better visual cues for the end here, which this is the dangerous section. I mean, Zaraki is really putting himself in harm's way, in my opinion, by not turning the lights back on. This really just does not save very much time at all. It saves just a few frames to do the lights out, and that's if you execute everything perfectly. So it looks like he got a good zip setup. He just needs to not overzip the door. And okay, he's got a long way to wiggle. He looks like he's in good shape, and he is in the door. The quick man fight, to note, is also a little bit more difficult in the dark. Even knowing the layout of the room, it can just be a little wonky fighting him in the dark. He gets a low jump. Okay, this is not bad. He's got him hemmed up in the corner there, and no missed shots. Nice fight there by Zaraki. Well played. jveth forgoes the second 1-up. It looks like both of them went ahead and skipped that second 1-up. So jveth did turn the lights back on. He'll have a slightly easier time here. And that, I don't think, is going to work. He's going to take another crack at the zip. I think he got it. Really nice adjustment there by jveth. And let's see if he gets in the door. He does. No soft locks today for either of our runners. There are, of course, a few more spots where some soft locks can occur, but hopefully we avoid those. So Zaraki going to head into wood. This is, of course, the player's choice in terms of the route. You can go to wood or metal here. And a missed shot by jveth. This is going to cost him. He's going to have to switch to buster or to air shooter, one of the two, and get those final couple shots in. Look out. All right, he's good. So it looks like Zaraki is going to go for dog scroll. So this is a situation now. If he messes these up, he is going to game over, folks. So he is taking a huge risk right now by going for these. And he got them. That was clutch. So essentially what happens is if you mess up the first screen of those dog scrolls, you have to take a death. And he would have been on 0 lives, and he would have had to either do the stage normally or take a game over, one of the two. But we have now jveth, so he opts to go into Metal Man. So we're not going to really see kind of how our runners are positioned relative to each other until they get to Bubble Man stage. And Zaraki doing a pretty good job here in wood. And he takes the death right on time. He is into the boss corridor. No problem. So jveth electing to skip that mini zip there. That's one where you can also soft lock if you trigger it on the perfect frame. Doesn't save very much time. Oh no! jveth, he must have placed his item 2 a little bit too high. If you place it too high, it'll actually despawn. And it despawned at just the wrong time there, and he fell into that gap. So he is now going to go ahead, and I think he's going to forego item 2 until a little bit later here. Now this section becomes tricky. It's very hard to avoid taking damage here, and these things hit pretty hard, believe it or not. So he can use the rest of his item 2 if he wants, but I think he's just going to go ahead and forgo it. And now you can see Zaraki has built a fairly substantial lead as he is now in the same stage as jveth. And jveth not knowing that item 2 placement, if you place it too high, it'll just despawn. But that does happen. It's very unfortunate. Nice metal fight there. And Zaraki does take that first zip. He's not afraid of soft locking. His item 2 is not too high. I can see that. He's in good shape here, so he can go ahead and avoid those guys. Those guys don't actually have a hitbox until they land on their wheel or whatever it is, so that's why you're able to jump through them off screen. And jveth actually going to bubble here. This is interesting. So this is kind of a different route. Oh, he's going to want to take the game over. Okay, that was smart, actually. Well played by jveth. I wasn't thinking about that, but he does need that extra life for heat. For wood, for the wood zip. And he wanted to make sure that he had it. So it's much faster to take a death intentionally in bubble than in wood. In wood, he would have had to do it by damage, and it takes about 30 seconds. Oh, no, and he got hung up on that item 2 there with a lag. Took another death, so he's okay to continue in this stage, but he's going to have to make some adjustments. Yeah, he's looks like he's going to take these enemies out. So jveth just kind of having a time of it here, and again, it should be noted that it's, jveth had to actually travel for work, which is why they're having this match so late, so he's probably very out of practice at this point. I'm pretty sure he did not have access to this game, so he's a little rusty. I would expect him to do a lot better in the second run, but this run's not over yet. Believe it or not, folks, even with Zaraki having this much of a lead, this game is so treacherous that things could happen that could propel jveth to winning in this game. We don't want to see those things happen because it would be very, very painful for Zaraki and for us to watch, but some of those Wily stages can be notoriously brutal. So as we see both players making their way through, Zaraki looks like he'll actually be finishing bubble before jveth does. And we're going to see what kind of pattern he gets from Bubble Man. Bubble Man, of course, capable of delaying your run if he gives the dreaded 3 bubble pattern, which does lag the game, and there's nothing you can do about it. 1 or 2 bubbles is just fine. So we're looking to get one of those, 1 or 2 bubbles. Let's see. Oh, it's the dreaded 3 bubble, and you can see the lag. So that's about a 2 to 3 second time loss there. So if jveth gets a better pattern, he will gain that little bit of time. It does add up. So he gets a 2 bubble, which is a lot faster. As you can see, the game's not lagging. So Zaraki teleporting out at around 17:23. So he's on a solid pace, probably a 28 pace is what it looks like. But we are entering the dreaded Wily stages. And it looks like we have a Twitch Prime sub from Beaver Dono. Thank you for supporting Speed Gaming, Beaver. Much appreciated. All right, so jveth going to close it out with Woodman here. This is his last Robot Master. We're going to get to see what kind of strategy he wants to employ. There is, of course, an alternate to doing the dog scrolls that Zaraki did. You can do a flash strat instead, which is a lot safer. And against the optimal dog scrolls, which don't occur very often, it's 5 seconds slower. But I would say on average, it's probably 2 to 3 seconds slower compared to dog scrolls. And he's going to actually go ahead and use a heat shot to take down that first dog and then flash. So this is like a guaranteed way of getting through. It is an extra menu, but there's no way that he would not get past these second 2 dogs. He has plenty of flash. As Zaraki hits that first zip, that is kind of a scary one. And he is on up to the next screen. So is Zaraki going to go ahead and set up another zip here in the following screen, presumably? He's got a comfortable enough lead. I would actually just skip this zip in this instance, honestly. If you're this far ahead, there's no reason to go for it because it is a 20-second time loss if you miss. He didn't miss. But if he did, you really want to close the door on your opponent, then it's better to, just take a little bit of a time loss. I think that zip saves about 3 seconds. It's not a huge time saver as you think it might be. But he pulls it off nonetheless, as jveth is looking like he's having a good wood here. He gets to zip through, he's into the boss corridor, and he will be finishing up the 8 robots. So it's going to be a little bit more than a 2-minute lead for Zaraki at this point. So you think, okay, 2 minutes, that's a lot. How in the world is jveth ever going to come back from this? I will tell you, there's a stage called Wily 4. Wily 4 is, well, they call it Purple Hell. and they call it that for a reason. You can certainly lose 2 minutes in that stage. It is very, very easy for things to go very, very wrong. So jveth, he's just kind of got to hang in there and hope that Zaraki has some unfortunate things happen in Wily 4. Potentially 5 and 6 can also have major setbacks. Zaraki going to set up this first zip here. He's walking along the spikes using those iframes. He gets into the ceiling. A trigger, nicely done. Should be noted that the A trigger zips are a little bit more difficult. It's a 4-frame window as opposed to a 15-frame window for those B trigger zips. And you have to trigger a zip. Once you get in the ceiling, it doesn't just happen automatically. You have to press either A or B and then left in those given frame windows to trigger. So of course, by pressing B, you use your item 1s. That's why you see an A trigger there, because Zaraki wants to preserve his item 1s as he makes his way through the hallway here. So picking up some extra weapon ammo, that doesn't actually hurt him with having this big of a lead. And jveth is going to be out of item 2, so it'll be interesting to see what he does in some of the coming sections here. You really want to have like 1 tick of item 2. Nice setup there by jveth. And he's got the first zip. And taking it a little cautiously there. Almost was too high. If you come out too high there, then it's not a soft lock, but you have to take an intentional death, and it's really, really slow getting out of there. So Zaraki taking on this pretty easy boss. You just got to avoid getting hit. This boss does hit very, very hard. And jveth, no, he's not good. Oh, he realized just in time. What a clutch maneuver there by jveth. He saw that his item 1 was going to despawn, and at the very last moment was able to grab onto that ladder. Really nice. So if he had not done that, he would have been the one losing 20 seconds. He would have taken that fall, and then you're running out of item 1. It's a compounding problem when you miss that. But he recovered it well, so he's going to miss the zip, which I get, again, like I said, is about 3 to 4 seconds. Not too bad. Now just don't kiss the dragon. And he's going to go ahead and do top block strats. That's a little safer. And he's good to go. Meanwhile, Zaraki, it should be noted, actually had a death in Wily 3, believe it or not, because he does an alternate strategy here. As you can see, he hasn't menued yet. He's going to menu here on this final jump, and that will propel him forward just enough to get to that ledge. But what happened in GDQ was he didn't pause at the right time, so he didn't get to the ledge. And then when he jumped to get up to the ledge, he actually hit the spikes just ever so slightly, because the hitboxes on those things are bigger than they appear. Now, let's see if jveth can get his zip set up here. This is a tricky zip to set up. It looks like he's good. He just barely made it in the ceiling there. Okay, and he did use a couple item 1s. He's pausing there because you have to extend the zip. So he's going to break out the item 3 to get over top here. Now, he's going to have to pick up some more item 1 in Wily 4. He is short on item 1. All right, Zaraki going to take on the Guts tank. And he's got a good fight there, so he is all clear. As jveth going to make his approach to the hallway. Now, in certain situations, if he gets the right drop, which would be at the very end of this hallway, he could pick up item 1 there. But it's pretty unlikely. The drop rate is low in this game compared to the US version. You really shouldn't be getting drops very often. So he is going to have to pick up that item 1 in Wily 4. And speaking of Wily 4, Purple Hell, it's here for Zaraki. So this is where he's got to be cautious. The early section of the stage doesn't present too many dangers. You know, you could fall, you can maybe run out of item 3. Maybe you can miss the zip, but it's really the end of the stage as Zaraki sets up that first vertical zip nicely. The end of the stage is where you're in the most danger. You can overzip the door, which is a massive time loss. If you come out of the zip, if you get into the boss room and come out of the zip in the wrong way, that can be a massive time loss. If you miss one of your crash bombs and you run out of crash bombs without destroying all the barriers, that can be a massive time loss. And of course, you can die. You can die in this stage. So really a lot of bad things that can happen. So far, Zaraki playing well, but he is coming up to some of the dangerous areas here as he uses his iframes to get through this room. Well played. So he's got one more room of spikes. If he can avoid these, then he will be setting up that final zip. And again, this is a situation, you know, this is a tournament match. He could really just avoid this zip altogether if he wanted to play it safe, but he is going to go ahead and do it. He's into the door, so he's got one more mini zip right here. Let's see if he can hit this, and he does, so he gets the first double, so he's in really great shape now. So Rocky looking like he's going to be able to close this thing out. He's got one more double that he needs to hit. He does have enough crash bombs, even if he misses it, but he does get it. He gets the damage transfer. Really nice Wily 4 there by Zaraki. And now you have to think it is going to be very, very difficult for jveth to come back from this. This is a tough situation now. So Zaraki, let's see how many lives he's on. We might get a glimpse of it in the window here, but if he was on 0 lives at this point, then there is still a chance for jveth. If Zaraki was on 0 lives and he were to take a death to Wily at the end of these refights, that would be about a 2-minute death. But I think he may have a 1-up. We'll see. We'll see. He's taking some hits here, so wisely taking the health. Again, in this tournament setting, I think it would be very wise for Zaraki to just take all the healths. You know, if he takes every single health, then there's almost no way that jveth can catch him. Gets a nice fight there. Moving on into Woodman. This one, it's pretty tough to avoid taking damage. But he does so cleanly. Oh, needs to get one more shot in there. So he's at a pretty high life total here. He's not very much in danger. And jveth entering the danger zone itself, Wily 4. Not the greatest pattern there from Airman. But Zaraki handles it well enough, and he is again going to forego the health. Again, given his situation, his health total is just fine, but no reason not to take some extra precautions. Then he's again not going to do the heat dance, so he's pretty safe against Heatman here. He doesn't have a whole lot to worry about. Takes down Heatman, and we're moving on to Metal Blade. This is, of course, the final 3 mini bosses here as jveth progressing nicely through the climb. And taking a little bit of damage there, and he does probably inadvertently get that health from Bubble Man, but putting himself into a very safe situation for the Wily fight anyway. Alright, so here comes the Wily fight. So as long as Zaraki can finish this off, then he'll just have Wily 6 and he'll be able to close this thing out. And there's not a lot that jveth can do about it. But Wily 6 is another dangerous stage. Nice crash bomb placement there, and the second crash bomb. And even though he took that damage with the amount of health that Zaraki had, he was fine. So he is still on a 28 pace here. He's had a nice run. And jveth, unfortunately, not triggering that zip. Oh, wow, he triggered it with Metal Blade. jveth getting fancy here in Wily 4. I have never seen that before. That is incredible. All right, so Zaraki, again, he doesn't have to do this zip. You know, he'd probably be better served to just skip doing the zip altogether, but he's going to do it anyway. He may not be screen watching. You know, you're allowed to. This is not a randomizer tournament, so he could be watching jveth if he wanted to see where he was. And if I saw that this is where jveth was, I'd probably just be like, all right, I'm taking the walk here. There's really no reason for additional risk. Now the only risk is that if he were to die on the alien, but he'd probably still have enough of a lead to buffer it. So getting into the door is pretty key. So taking some unintentional damage there. You do want a damage boost off of the alien's shots, but Zaraki is now in a weird situation where he's going to have to dodge, bob and weave, and you know, if he starts getting hit by some of these shots, he's going to be in trouble. He can take, I believe, 1 more shot, but 2 more shots he would be done. 2 more hits on the alien. Can he get him in? He's got him. Looks like a low 29. We'll see what the official SRL time is as jveth navigates his way through the refights. And Zaraki finished with a 29-10, it looks like. And we're getting word from jveth that there's also some flash flooding potentially in his area, so he's hoping to avoid a power outage here as well. But good game there. Good game by Zaraki. He really was able to pull it together well after he had that initial death on Airman. that was a bit of a tough spot. You know, he just got a really, really bad pattern. And, you know, if you get too close to Airman, it's all over. But well played after that. So jveth looks like he's going to be finishing off here. He's got Quickman. He's taking a bit of a different boss order than the traditional route. Quickman, one of the more difficult refights. You have to use Buster because you're, of course, trying to preserve your crash bombs. And you have to hit him 14 times, and he can jump at variable heights. He has variable timings for how long before he jumps. All kinds of crazy stuff. So taking a little bit of a body damage there from Heatman. Now, I didn't quite catch if jveth had to use all his crash bombs. He probably has 0 or 1 left. So if that's the case, he wants to have as much health as possible for the Wily fight, because he is going to have to mash it out with Metal Blade, presumably. So it would be wise if he were to take the health from Flashman. Flashman, it's a pretty easy health to get. It's right next to you when you finish the fight. So you really need more health than what he has right now. I really hope he gets this health, and he doesn't. I don't think he has an E-Tank. So jveth in real trouble here. He can do phase 1 without getting hit. You need 2 full charged heat shots. And it's pretty easy to dodge these shots in phase 1. But in phase 2, it is nearly impossible. And I think we're going to see a death from jveth here, unfortunately. He's got to mash it out with Metal Blade. And this is going to put him in a really precarious situation because he's not going to have enough Metal Blade if he doesn't finish Wily. He's got 1 HP. Can he finish it? Can he finish it? No! Oh, man. He was able to dodge one of those shots, but just getting hit in that first phase there really killed it for him. So now he's low on heat and he's low on metal. It's going to be tough sledding for him. So you can finish this fight, of course, with Buster, thankfully, and that's what he's realizing now, that he doesn't even have enough heat, and he's going to burn out the rest of his Metal Blades here. I think we're going to see an unfortunate game over from jveth here. He's just not ready for this situation. So he's dodging. It's just so hard to dodge these shots in phase 2. Really just got to hope that he can somehow... He's breaking out the quick boomerang, and he's got to dodge one more shot, and I don't think he can do it. No! Really unfortunate. So there is a game over. So jveth, he can either forfeit or he can continue and just finish from here. We'll see what he decides he wants to do. I think he wants to go to the next race. So again, this is the game that is just absolutely brutal. So it looks like jveth has indeed gone for the forfeit. So he is gonna just gear up for the next race here. And these guys are gonna go again. So again, this is a best out of 3. So Zaraki just needs 1 more win. jveth is gonna have to win 2 in a row here. Not an easy task. But he should feel a little better that he is, he's warmed up in the game a little bit. He was going pretty smooth there for a while. He had also taken that air death as well. Had some other unfortunate things happen. He had the very unfortunate thing that happened in Metal, where his item 2 despawned at just the worst possible time. So these guys are going to be setting up for race number 2. And while that's going on, I am going to tell you guys about, let's see what kind of upcoming matches we have here. So tomorrow evening, we're actually going to have 3 matches. We have Kyle Precise against Tokyo 90. And that may be an elimination match. Let me check that real quick. That is indeed an elimination match. So the winner of that match will advance to brackets. The loser is going to be done and out of the tournament. Nero has already advanced in that particular group. That is Group F. We have Llama Pals versus Mad Mega X. And that is also a winner-go-home match. So those are going to be both happening tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So 2 winner-go-home matches right here on one of the Speed Gaming channels. That is to be determined. And it looks like these guys are ready to go for the second race. So they are going to ready up. And then we'll be going again. And then following that match, we are going to have another match that is actually featuring yours truly against Beef Watson. Not an elimination match. So the winner of that would advance to the bracket stage. The loser will play one more match that will be an elimination match. And then finally, on Saturday, we have Feral Pigman versus Shoka. So lots more Rockman 2 action coming up in the tournament. We're almost into the bracket stages where we're going to have eliminations happening fast and furious. We have a lot of talent in this tournament, guys. There's a lot of really strong players, including world record holder Cypher and the person that is just right on his tail, Cool Kid, who is only 3 seconds off of world record. They're both in it to win it, and a lot of other really top tier players in this. So keep watching, and it looks like we're almost ready to go here for race number 2. They're going to be off in just a second. Our players have readied up. I don't believe our players are going for that trick mattress. All right, I'm going to do a quick refresh here. Make sure we're on track. And here we go. Looks like we're just about ready. And they're off. So same route again here, of course, with the Flashman first. Flashman is a nice way to kind of just ease your way into the run. There's nothing that is too daunting about this stage. You know, you can't really die during this stage. You can die in the boss fight, but the stage itself is really just, you know, try to have some good movement and get yourself through as fast as possible. And we see Zaraki with slightly better matching than he had last time, so he's able to get through that enemy, taking a little bit of a lead over jveth. And early leads, as you guys saw, are not really that important. It really matters what happens mostly in the Wily stages and then some of the Robot Master stages where you can take a death. Nice job there on the tin cans by Zaraki. Both players navigating the tin cans well. You don't want to take damage there. That tin can actually does quite a bit of damage. And again, in the flash fight, if you don't get it, and it is a very difficult fight, then you're going to deal with a lot of damage from Flashman. So you want to be going in there. Zaraki, you can see, has a ton of health. So even if things don't go the right way, a little swag entrance there from Zaraki. Gotta like that. He's feeling it. All right, here we go. Flash fight. And Zaraki looking good so far. Really nice damageless fight there from Zaraki. jveth having to bail out, though. He got himself into a little bit of a troublesome spot, but he looks to be recovering okay. Just you want to stay away from Flashman. You don't want to get bodied. And 2 more shots ought to do it. So jveth also through. And we have a sub from Quellos. Thank you very much. 5 months in a row. Speed Gaming appreciates your support. And both of our runners are on into Heatman. So jveth doing a good job there of just making sure he survives. It's really important to not take deaths to the bosses. As you guys saw earlier, we had both of our players die to Airman in the last race. Airman is a especially punishing boss that can just really, he does a lot of damage, and the luck factor is that, you know, sometimes that damage is unavoidable. He gave some pretty poor patterns to both of our runners. Now, meanwhile, Heatman, well, he's not quite as dangerous with the strats these guys are using. His stage is quite dangerous, and we see Zaraki again going for that item 3 throw and getting it. Really nicely done. That's about a 2-second time save that he's going to have. And having a little bit of a movement issue there. Getting on the ladder can be tricky. jveth, he shorted the item 3 throw, so he is going to lose a little bit of time there. And Zaraki kind of building on that lead. So Zaraki taking it fairly aggressively with the Yoku blocks. He's been playing with no fear in these races. jveth getting the zip. And looks like neither player really wanted to use the flash strat, which can allow you to skip taking damage against Sniper Joe. Makes things a little bit less nerve-wracking in the heat fight, but we know that Zaraki is going for a strat where he's not going to get hit very often. He's going to keep his distance from Heatman. No reason to get too close to him. He knows that jveth is doing the same, so he's really not even losing time by doing this strat. So really not a lot of downside to doing this strat. In fact, it's probably a good idea if you know that there's a gap between you and your opponent, and especially if your opponent's doing the same strat. Again, you want to just avoid opening the door to massive time saves for your opponent. And Heatman is one of those scenarios. So we see jveth using the same strat that Zaraki used, getting some fast patterns there, though. He did take a hit, so he's got to be careful now, and he takes the death. jveth playing with fire, and he got burned. He was a little too close to Heatman, and he kind of got out of the rhythm there. So he's going to be full health now. And with full health, you can really take a lot of shots from Heatman, but that is a costly one. And the unfortunate thing is that once you get hit by Heatman, it really is disruptive to the rhythm. And jveth, you know, he was getting a really fast pattern is part of what happened too. You know, if he had actually been getting a slower pattern, he wouldn't have gotten hit that second time. But unfortunately, Heatman was coming. He was out for blood. So Zaraki, again, going to use the flash. Time stopper, as it's actually called in the game. And he saves that one item 1 by jumping that first jump, and he uses it later on. So getting a backward boost there, he does recover it. That's actually a tricky spot to be in. Ooh, Zaraki, wow, he just barely was able to stay on there. There's a lot of lag in that section, so when he got knocked onto that platform, it's pretty easy to fall off. And you can see that he uses that to avoid that first bird, and then he spawns the second bird from the left side. So that's why he hangs on to that one item 1. It's a really kind of unique strat. I don't think you'll see any other runner doing that strat. It's pretty cool. And he's progressing nicely here through Airman. I'm sure he wants to get his revenge from last time, and he's got the same amount of health as last time, maybe a little bit more, but if the fight goes down the same way it went last time, it doesn't matter because he took that body shot from Airman. You can't do that. We'll see jveth now on his turn. Oh no, not another death. So jveth probably going to be wise to take a game over here at the beginning of this stage. Let's see if he does that. No, he's going to actually go... Yeah, okay. He's down. So he'll get his item 1s and his flash back. And another bad pattern for Zaraki. He needs to avoid taking this hit by Airman. All right, he is tightly in the corner this time. You really need to be up against the wall there to avoid that hit, and he does. So a pretty big lead for Zaraki here. jveth, again, you know, he was in a situation where he was not having time to practice, and this is what happens when you don't have time to practice Rockman 2. It's a very, very punishing game. He does a nice job getting through this time. He is going to have to take a little bit of damage here unless he... Well, okay, he switched to Buster. That was, again, a smart move. I believe he can take 3 hits. And we have a subscription from Trevacious. Thank you very much for 3 months in a row. Speed Gaming appreciates the support. And Zaraki now... Okay, he was going to go for Biggie there, and then he kind of decided not to. He had second thoughts. He was feeling himself a little bit. He's like, all right, I'm having a good run. Let's do Biggie. And then he was kind of like, no, actually, let's not do Biggie. So he does end up doing the second screen zip there, and he's in fine shape. Continue on to the second half of the stage. So for those of you that don't know, the way this thing works is the screens are overlapped on top of each other. The screens are not actually laid out the way that they appear in the game. They're all just stacked on top of each other. So even though it looks like he's just walking along, he's actually advancing the screen. And then when he takes that the death, he's in the checkpoint screen, which is why he lands up at the checkpoint there. So that's kind of how that works. And then in Woodman, it's the same deal. Although in Woodman, you can actually see for just a split second where the runner actually is. All right, so looks like Zaraki has a much better climb than last time. He's on into the boss fight. So Zaraki, he is going to do the old school boss fight, not employing the Prizzy fight. Let's see if he gets lucky again. He had pretty good luck the last time. He does get good luck again, even faster boss fight this time. And jveth with a nice zip setup there. He's good. So on into Quickman, we're going to see if Zaraki is going to get the one-up this time. I think he should get it. He got it last time because he had the death in air. He does indeed get it. So this time he is going to have a buffer life for when he goes for dog scrolls in Woodman. He did not have a buffer life last time, and he was living on the edge doing those dog scrolls, but he managed to clutch them out. So he didn't run into any issues. This time, hopefully it won't be an issue as long as he's able to get through here. Of course, this is a dangerous stage. You never want to underestimate Quickman stage because there is a soft lock potential. And Zaraki triggering that zip just a little bit too early and then missing the setup, so he's going to have to wait for these to despawn. That's about an 8-second time loss, so that's going to be nice for jveth. Gives him a little bit of catch up there. And again, no lights on for Zaraki. And he definitely was running this game more so back in the day when there was no, like, people just weren't turning the lights back on. This is more of a newer development that runners have been doing this, and it's very easy to do. You kind of just have to stop your zip for a split second and then reinitiate it, and the lights will be back on. As jveth finishing off Clashman there. So he's in this situation here. Nice zip setup there though. And he's pretty used to it. He's comfortable with it, so he gets those wiggles in and he's through. So no soft lock for Zaraki. He's got to take on Quickman here. And jveth will just be making his way into Quick. Not the greatest pattern you'd want to see from Quickman, but Zaraki handles it well enough. He gets him hemmed up in the corner a couple times there and just kind of takes him out. So jveth skips the one up here. We know that he's not going for dog scrolls, so he's okay to do that. He is not going to be putting himself at risk, other than that he could have a game over later on. But depending on where you are in Wily stages, it's actually better to game over with a death than with some of the other stuff. So a little bit of a slow setup there from jveth. He wanted to kind of make sure his positioning was right, but he did end up getting the zip. So he does cash in on that kind of 8-second time gain over Zaraki there. And Zaraki is coming to dog scrolls. Looks like he's going to go for it again. He gets the setup into the ceiling. First scroll is good. That's the most important one. Second scroll is good. And he's through all three. So that is going to give him a little bit more time save over jveth, given that jveth does not go for the dog scrolls at all. And he's got to finish this off now. There's a couple tricky spots. He paused a little bit early there, but still manages to make it to the invisible ledge. So again, advancing these screens, advancing the screens, and he's eventually going to get to the end of the stage and die in the boss corridor. And Quickman really not being nice to either of our players, but both of them handling it well. Nobody missed a crash bomb, which is a big time loss in the fight. Zaraki headed into Woodman. This is a fairly straightforward fight. You just want to make sure you get your positioning right, and then just got to mash out some shots. So he gets the first set of shots. He's good to go. Nice fight. And we get to see our route divergence again as jveth heads into metal. We're going to have both of our runners in metal at the same time, it would appear. Zaraki presumably will go there again. You kind of want Metal Blade for Bubble Man, just saying. Alright, so jveth ran into problems last time here. He had placed his item 2 too high. This one looks to be okay. This should not despawn. And jveth is good. He's going to get the item 2 fly all the way across. He had a really untimely death in the last race because of that. Zaraki, again, going for that mini zip. No soft lock. If you trigger that thing too early, it is a soft lock. He'll get stuck in what we call metal jail. Don't want that. And metal isn't too tough of a fight. The main thing is you just need to stay on the left-hand side of the screen. Otherwise, he will jump over you. And we can see jveth finishing him off. So about a full stage lead for Zaraki at this point. Relatively close to what we had last time around. But again, the Wily stages can swing things quite a bit. So jveth on into Woodman. Again, he's employing that strat where he's going to use the charged heat to take care of the first dog. And he's going to flash. And that'll allow him to skip the second 2 dogs. But then he does have to do the long zip. That is a requirement that you'll see everybody in the tournament doing. Zaraki, meanwhile, setting up this item 2 fly. You can do an item 2 zip late in this stage, but it's really difficult, and I think for the tournament you're not going to see a whole lot of runners going for it because it's not a very substantial time save, and the difficulty level is way up there. Some players say they can, they get it a high percentage of the time, but you'll even see even the best players miss it. It's nobody's like 100% with that zip. Alright, jveth's setting it up here. And he triggered a little bit too late, so he's going to have to set that up again. This zip, if you don't trigger it at just the right time, you actually won't advance the screen. So he got it the second time there. And Zaraki it looks like he may close this out in under 17 minutes, the 8 robots, which is a really strong time. Let's see. It's going to be very close. Only getting a 1 bubble this time, no lag. And yeah, I think he's going to be just under 17 minutes. So this is a really nice 8 robots from Zaraki. As jveth finishing off Woodman, he's going to head into bubble. So you can see there, it was about a 56 or a 57. Zaraki on a nice pace here. This is absolutely a 28 pace, and if he had really insanely good Wily stages, he could potentially 27. Of course, Zaraki, one of the many players in the tournament that does have a 27 in this game. 27 is kind of the mark that you want to see if you're serious about running this game. You want to get into the 27 level. But just speed running this game at all is definitely a challenge. So anybody that can pull off a speed run of this game should be happy about that. There's nothing easy about this game, believe me. As jveth setting up through metal. Hopefully he's able to avoid this last shot this time. Whew, just barely. Okay, so jveth not going to take that death there this time. jveth definitely playing better this time around. That first run was really kind of a warm-up run for him. Nice setup there by Zaraki for the zip, and he's getting that first vertical zip. And again, you could see Zaraki was still keeping it pretty aggressive, even with the massive lead he had. I suspect that Zaraki is not watching jveth's screen. I think he is probably just going all out and trying to get the fastest time that he can get. Some people just prefer not to screen watch, and he does take the fall this time, so that's going to be about a 20-second time loss. And we'll see how he decides to recover from this. There's a couple different ways you can go about it. And he is taking the slower but safer route, and he's just going to go ahead and get to the ladder this second time. So Zaraki not only losing time in this level, but he is also going to lose some time because he's going to have to pick up additional item 1 as he progresses through the game. He's very low on item 1, as you can see, and you do need a lot of item 1 in this speed run to close out these wily stages. So jveth kind of, he's still hanging around. He's about to be in the same stage for just a moment. He will be in the same stage as Zaraki. There it is. Bubble Man is down. So Zaraki has to make sure he avoids... Okay, good. He's good. He's not going to get hit by the dragon. If Zaraki had got hit by the dragon there, we would have ourselves quite a race. That would have just about tied things up. The dragon is a one-hit KO, for those of you that don't know. Or if you fall into that gap there. But as it stands, Zaraki still with a full stage lead plus. So this is pretty much a similar situation to last time, where we had jveth needing Zaraki to have some really unfortunate things happen to him in the wily stages. And to Zaraki's credit, he played very well, had a really nice wily 4, and a very tight zip setup there. He was barely able to get under that ceiling. Almost got pushed out the other way, and that would have been another death, although that is technically the best death you can take in this speed run, believe it or not. So if he had taken it, it really wouldn't have been that bad. jveth is rooting for a wily 4 debacle, no doubt. So let's see what kind of hallway Zaraki gets. If you time everything just right, and you can see in that first leaf shield, he was able to despawn some of those drops that he got into the ceiling. Did get another drop there, but that's okay. He's through. He's got enough leaf shield. jveth, meanwhile, with a really nice zip setup there. So he's got the first zip. We'll have to see. I think he fell on the second zip. It'll be interesting to see if he wants to go for it again. I suspect he's going to stick with it and try to get it this time. No, I don't think so. But he didn't recognize this time. He wasn't able to get out of there. He thought he had it, and he was just about a pixel off. It's really difficult to get those placements just right, so that you can actually get... You have to get very far over to get underneath the ceiling there without despawning your item 1. And jveth just wasn't quite far enough. It takes a lot of practice, too, to be able to discern that pixel. And he did it last time. He was able to tell last time, but this time, I think his eyes were playing tricks on him, so he does not gain that time from Zaraki that he desperately needed. He is also going to lose the 20 seconds. Pitting our two runners further and further apart. Zaraki onto wily 3. And jveth again going to take that top block safe strat. No reason to risk things on the dragon if you're not feeling comfortable with it. And Zaraki going to go ahead and pick up some item 1 there, it looks like. probably a wise choice. I think it's smarter to get it there than to get it in Wily 4. Wily 4, it's a bit more out of the way. So, and he has the pause there anyway, so he's fine. He's able to get to the ledge using his pause strat. Be really interesting to know if that is faster or the traditional strat of menuing at the beginning of the stage is faster. I'm going to guess that the menuing is faster, but I don't know for sure. Cypher would probably know. He's timed out a bunch of different situations of like if you do A versus B, which one is faster by how many frames. And wow, almost despawning that item 1 there is jveth. He could have been in real trouble if he had taken that death there, but he manages to get into the ceiling, has a successful zip, and he is on into the second half of the stage, which is a little bit easier. Zaraki having a little bit of trouble with Guts Tank there, taking a few hits, but he's through. And we're back into Wily 4. Zaraki has to be feeling very confident. He had an excellent Wily 4 last time, but you never want to get too overconfident with Wily 4. This is a level that will get you no matter how good you are, no matter how many times you've played it. This level demands precision and very close attention. So let's see how Zaraki can manage. Got to get this first zip over the Met. He's able to get that. Going for the item 3 drop, sets that up very well. Second item 3 drop. Another item 3 drop, and he is up through the tougher part of the climb. Now you just want to have a nice positioning here to set up this zip. He's got it. Vertical zip is good. And he's going to have one more corridor zip here to set up. And he's looking in good shape. You just want to make sure you're high enough. And I don't think he got quite the elevation that he needed. So he loses a couple seconds there on that. You need to really, really trigger that at the peak of your jump. But the main thing here for him is surviving. He's not worried about the little small stuff. He just doesn't want to have any really, really bad debacles happen. And unfortunately, jveth taking a game over at the worst possible time. He was in the boss fight, and that boss does not play around, as I mentioned earlier. The damage output for that boss is huge. jveth looking a little disheartened, not sure if he wants to continue. Hopefully he does. Wily 4, 5, and 6 can be incredibly punishing. And even though the deficit is like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, that could come back. That is a possibility to come back from. So jveth going to go ahead and proceed. It's not over till it's over in this game. I'm telling you, I've seen some wild, wild things in this game. And, oh, jveth not knowing that he didn't realize that he had, because he game over it, he had the extra. And you can see Zaraki is missing crash bombs now. So Zaraki really in trouble. This is exactly what I was talking about. If Zaraki were to take a game over here, he needs to get this damage transfer or he is going to be in trouble. This kind of opens the door for jveth to come back. And Zaraki can't even get the damage transfer now because he's out of health. So he takes a death. And if that's a game over, he's restarting this stage. And it's not, but that's actually worse because now he's going to presumably take a game over here so that he can restart the stage with full ammo. And jveth I think is just, he's struggling right now, man. Maybe a little bit of tilt, but it's unfortunate too. If jveth had made it through, if he hadn't died in that boss fight, he would probably only be about 15 seconds behind. jveth would have caught up quite a bit there. And that's exactly what I was talking about with Wily 4, how you can just lose 2 minutes to Wily 4. You get yourself into trouble in that boss fight, and yeah, you can see jveth he's just not in shape to play right now. He could just bust out the item 2, man. Just bust out the item 2. You don't even need item 1, brother. You don't even need it. But he's still going for that item 1. So yeah, for those of you that are wondering, you can use item 2 and fly across this section here, but I think jveth's just wanting to practice his zip there. It's not going too well. And Zaraki taking his second pass at Wily 4. Zaraki, who I don't think is screen watching, would probably be very surprised to know that he's still ahead. but he is. So he's into the boss fight again, second time. And this time, it looks like he's in better shape here. Even if he misses this double, he somehow had gotten the Crash Bomb to go to the left last time. And this time he's good. This time he's got it. And jveth finally, of course, getting the zip now that Zaraki has aced Wily 2. Because that's how these things go. But Zaraki, he has solidified his lead here, and I don't want to say his lead is unsurmountable because anything's possible in this game, but he has a pretty big lead at this point. About 3 stages. So Quickman, Quickman, flex pose. Zaraki wisely picking up that health there, although it's pretty hard to avoid when it's in the corner. But again, no reason for him to really not pick up some health drops in refights here. If things are close, then you probably want to go ahead and skip those drops. But when things are not close, you can go ahead and just take it a little safe. Zaraki with plenty of health. He does have both of his Crash Bombs to note. jveth again in this situation where he does not have a lot of health. If he takes one hit, he's dead. So hopefully he doesn't take it. I didn't see exactly how it happened last time. I'm not sure if he went for the double KO and missed it, or something else happened. But yeah, he's got to avoid taking a hit here. And last one. Okay, so jveth is through. He is finally going to be advancing to Wily 3 as Zaraki taking out Heatman. We're on to the Metal Blade portion of refights. Always a fun portion. Making quick work of Bubble Man. We're on into Metal. We all know how this fight goes. It's high metal, it's bi-metal. And Flashman isn't too much harder. He's just takes a few more shots, that's all. And that's going to be the end of Flashman. So Zaraki, he elects to just go straight to Crash Bombs for this fight. You can get some extra damage in with Metal Blades, and it speeds up the fight a little bit, but he decides it's not worth it, and he's just going to go ahead and finish things out with 2 Crash Bombs, heading on into Wily 6, and Zaraki on the cusp here of closing this out. So I believe if Zaraki wins this, he will be taking on Ahmad, who is in our chat. I believe they are in the same group. I'm going to check that for you guys after we get through here. And again, Zaraki going to take this risky zip here. If you over-zip this, you have to take an intentional death and start the stage over, but he has no problem with it. He's in the door, and he's in the door quickly. Now, he did have a little bit of a struggle last time against the Wily Alien. Let's see if he's able to manage to get himself into a better position this time around. And a nice start there, taking some intentional damage. Nice mashing. A little more intentional damage. And he's ready to close it out. One more intentional damage, and that's going to be it for Wily. Good game, Zaraki. He has closed out this match with an official SRL time of 31:08. And he is winning and advancing to the next round here, which, let's see here. It looks like he will indeed be taking on Ahmad. The winner of that will advance to bracket stages. The loser will face the winner of B Lightning and jveth. That's going to be the next matchup there for that bracket. So jveth, even though he had some struggles today, he is going to get another chance. He gets to take on B Lightning, and then he'll have either a rematch with Zaraki or he will play against Ahmad. We'll have to wait and see. But for right now, it looks like jveth going to go ahead and get some more practice here in Wily 4. And hopefully he finishes this out. I'd like to see him finish the game. He did forfeit the last one. So breaking out the Metal Blade, let's see. There's going to be some interesting strats here. Oh, no, we're switching to item 1. I thought we were going to see. So he did this really cool zip with the Metal Blade last time. That was presumably to give himself a bigger window so he didn't have to A-trigger. I think that's what he was going for. And it worked brilliantly. He was able to get that final zip in Wily 4, triggering it with Metal Blade. So kind of a cool strat. It's just, this is the neat kind of thing that you can pick up by watching other runners and see, you know, what's going to happen. Music, Cool Kids next match is to be determined. Unfortunate death there for jveth. That's a really tight window to do that jump. And everything is just so precise in this game. And this is where I think the rust is coming in. As I mentioned before, jveth has been away on work, so he hasn't been able to practice the game at all. And that makes the difference. You know, you're just not as familiar with, you know, okay, I need to be on this pixel when I jump. And it can really, really be tough. You know, I've played this game for a little over a year now, and I know if I like a week or sometimes not even a week, like my play just goes really down far. It's bad. But jveth keeps going here, so he's... Oh no, not again. Same room gets him. This game is brutal, guys. I'm sure everybody's really wanting to speedrun this game now after watching what happens. But yeah, we're going to have a lot more matches coming up, as I mentioned. Oh, now we're breaking out some item 2. Okay, let's go. See, this is good. This is good stuff, guys, because you can learn some backup strats here. And everybody kind of comes up with different styles of backup strats. So it's interesting to see that jveth is... And he could continue to use that item 2, actually. Maybe he doesn't know that. Well, he's going to use no item. I'm not sure what he has selected. So... yeah, I think... Uh-oh. 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 All right, jveth getting himself into a little bit too much trouble there. And that may be all for him. I'm not sure. He may want to forfeit. Wily 4, everyone. They don't call it Purple Hell for nothing. All right, and I think jveth has indeed forfeited from this again. So we're going to be all finished here. I don't think we're going to have any interviews. I know jveth is dealing with a very bad storm where he is. And Zaraki, if we had an interpreter, we could probably do an interview, but I don't speak enough Japanese to make that work. So I think we're going to take a pass on that one for this time around. But just like to remind everybody that we do have more Rockman 2 matches coming up. We have tomorrow night, we have some elimination matches you'll definitely want to tune in for. We have a double feature, Kyle Precise versus Tokyo and Llama Pals versus Mad Mega X. Those are both win or go home races. They'll be happening at the same time. And that'll be followed by a match with myself taking on Beef Watson. And there's all kinds of good action coming up here on Speed Gaming. I'd like to tell you about it. Let's see. We have a lot of Link to the Past. The Link to the Past No Major Glitches tournament is in full swing. You'll be seeing a lot of that today. We've got some Ori, some Dark Souls, some Cuphead, Diddy Kong Racing, all kinds of good stuff on Speed Gaming. So make sure you follow all 4 Speed Gaming channels. Actually, 5 Speed Gaming channels. We now have Speed Gaming 5, if you didn't know. I don't think they're showing anything today, but follow it anyway. You're going to need to see it at some point. And yeah, that's going to do it for today. So thanks for watching, everybody. Again, congratulations to Zaraki. He will be taking on a mod in the next round. And we'll see you guys next time.